He's barely going to keep it on the racing surface.
I don't know that we'll see a pass here as they go.
A deep dive on the brakes. Here comes the 680 to the inside.
By 7 on the second. I can't believe what we just saw.
Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin's Road America is the site of the first round of the 2020 Formula I Formula One Championship. As we head to Elkhart Lake, a 4-mile ribbon of asphalt in the beautiful countryside of rural Wisconsin. It's time now to qualify for our first ever United States Formula One Grand Prix, or Formula I, and we're going to do it in 3 separate sessions. We've already done the first qualifying session due to a configuration error that will be solved for next week's round at Brazil. But Finian, we're going to head into Q2 here in just about 3 minutes. But again, we're doing an elimination style format here. So we've got 15 drivers for Q2, going to get whittled down to 10 for Q3.
Yeah, we already eliminated a large majority of the fields we're talking about. We had 27 guys in Q1. Of those, as you're saying, only the top 15 made it on through. So we're now going to set those positions and decide who are the 5 drivers that are going to essentially bow out, and the 10 that'll move on to Q3 to then go for pole position.
So a quick summary on what you missed in Q1. It was indeed the drivers below the 15th place cut line that will not make it into Q2. Those drivers: Corey Whiting, Carlos Couton, Cody Sandwith, Silvio Brazola, Patrick Woodstruck, Pedro Gomez, Steven Grabowski, Wesley Batista, Carl Flemister, Talis Toledo, Flavio Clavati, and Don Day. Those drivers were eliminated in Q1. Q2 will be consistent of the top 15 drivers headed by the 2 San Filippo drivers, Danilo and Marco, in the 27 and 17 cars. And those drivers, I believe, are driving for the same team, and they'll be on the Fratelli Caponi Corsa team. So those drivers will be lit up in sort of an off-red, kind of a salmon color on the timing and scoring here in just a moment. But it's about time to roll into Q2 here. We're just kind of finishing up practice, so we'll have the times on the left-hand side of the screen, so you can kind of get an idea of where everyone is. You see San Filippo and Bruno Canova now is in second in practice as we head down. Again, the FW31 Formula One car making its first appearance ever on SYM TV. These cars are extraordinarily fast from the 2008 season here, Finian, so no funny business with DRS or ERS or anything of the sort. Straight up speed. 7 gears here, and you're going to use every little bit of it down the front straight.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys approaching just shy of 200 miles an hour, hitting around 190, heading into turn 1. And these guys, honestly, in the draft might be able to get close, if not over 200 miles an hour, and very, very quick lap times. They're running just about 2-minute laps in the F3 cars. These guys doing just over 1.5 minutes, which is blindingly fast.
So running on board with Bruno Canova now into turn number 5. 306 Ks down into the braking zone, slamming on the binders down to second gear, watching the curbs on track out. Excellent corner for Canovas. As again, this is just practice. We'll roll into Q2 here shortly. And one of the things I like about this car in comparison to the newer McLaren that we elected not to use for this series is the fact that you can actually put the power down on corner exit without losing the rear of the car super easily and unrecoverably. So I think this car is a little bit more fun to drive because of that. It's also got a lot more downforce, so it feels like you're driving a Formula One car, and no GP2 motor either.
Yeah, there it is. And yeah, and you get a lot less choice that the McLaren has. It's a lot more just straight up racing with the FW31. There's no ERS, there's no DRS either for these guys, so it's just going to be straight up racing for them, just kind of managing the car itself and navigating this really fast racetrack.
So Canova's going to bring us around to complete his practice session. 9 drivers recorded times in practice, but now the top 15 are going to go for 10 spots in Q2 here this afternoon for our first round of the 2020 U.S. Formula One Grand Prix at Elkhart Lake, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin's Road America. Road Elkhart, Lake America, as we head through to our Q2 session. So, up on the timing board now, it's going to be just about, like, get 15 minutes worth of time for 10 spots on the grid. So, top 10 drivers will move on to Q3. The others will be eliminated and hang on to their spot from Q2 as the field rolls off down towards turn number 1. Going to be a very frantic run onto the racetrack.
Yeah, people guys don't want to waste waste too much time messing around. They want to get out there, try to set fast laps. So if you make a mistake, you got to get back out there and set a time. Because again, as you're saying, only the top 10 will be able to move on and go for pole.
So in the Formula 3 race we just watched, we saw the TNT racing cars. Well, they have a Formula 1 equivalent. That's Thomas Ziegler and Charlie Bass. They're together in TNT racing in the Formula 1 series. You see them actually right next to each other there on the racetrack. Ziegler in the number 1, Charlie Bass in the 94. They are nose to tail right now, qualifying together. I think we'll see a lot of teammates doing that this afternoon. Here's Steverson Oliveira in the number 30. Oliveira is in the F1 APS Silver team, with Flavio Clavati as his teammate, and I believe Clavati was eliminated in Q1, so Steverson Oliveira are going to be the only F1 APS team member to move on to Q2. And you see the silver color denoting that team. And Jason Siemens in the number 12 car. And they're going to have this sort of off-white, kind of creamish color on the timing and scoring, the number 12. Siemens, a part of let's see what team we're on here. We're going to get all the teams. See the Siemens Privateer team with Patrick Woodstrup. Woodstrup was eliminated in Q1, so it's just Siemens for Siemens Privateer team. And again, as we learn the names and the teams, forgive us for being a little bit slow the first couple rounds here.
Yeah, no, Luca Furla going to come across the line. He's going to be the first driver to start his qualifying run. You see the rest of the drivers come up over the hill to start their laps, and you're going to see a lot of these guys are going to run this one lap. Going to probably come back in and just keep on trying. I might see these guys maybe try 3 hot laps, depending on how quickly they can get back on the track.
Luca Furla on track right now as we head down into the end of the first sector. As we come across the line, sector time for Furlick is going to be, looks like a 28.6 for the driver behind him. That's the number 1 car. I think he is actually, Thomas Ziegler's first time was a 28.5. So trying to compare sector times here to see how fast everybody's going to be. Trouble behind him. There's a car that's looped around. I think that's Owen Jolivet in the number 13. His sector time of 28.2, so a little bit quicker than the 1 car. They came across the start-finish line for the first sector. Charlie Bass through the carousel right now, carrying a whole ton of speed. 28.9, a little slower through that first sector than the other drivers as they head down into the kink. Full throttle down here.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to go full beans here on this back straightaway. It's probably the highest speed that they're going to get to on this track by themselves. And that's another thing to note, too, is how spaced out these drivers are. You want to make sure you have a little bit of a gap to the car ahead of you, others are going to be facing a lot of dirty air.
So out of the final corner, we're going to see the first driver across the line. And that was going to be Furlick in the number 06. We'll see what time he's going to run as he comes across the board. It's going to be a 1:35.5. We'll see who can best it. Next car across the line is going to be Thomas Ziegler. It'll be a 1:35.3. Danilo Sanfilippo goes a 1:34.241. That's quickest so far. Andre Eisenlohr goes 4th quick with a 1:35.9. He gets bumped down as Emilio Fernandez Garrido goes 3rd with a 1:35.454. Charlie Bass comes across the line, 36.6 for him. Bruno Canova goes 1:35.214 as they go across the line.
Great time for Bruno as he comes across the line. Oliveira gonna get up into 6th, actually down to 7th now as another driver just put in a quick lap. Not sure that was.
Rafael Matas, 96, goes a 1:35.3. He goes up to 4th place. Marco Sanfilippo just starting a lap now. Team car to the current provisional pole sitter. Ben Fuller, he's rounding his way through Canada corner, gonna head up the hill. And I think
Fuller, another driver to really watch. We expect to see him in the top 3. Ran really well in Q1, was 3rd quickest in Q1.
See if he can go any better than 3rd quick in Q2 as they come up the hill. 10 minutes to go across the line. It's going to be a 1:42.4, so not a time that will put him anywhere near the top of the board. Owen Jolivet, we saw him loop it, so he'll come across the line at 1:51.8. Leandro Bagnardi comes across the line 1:35.9. That'll be good enough for 9th. Now we'll check in on the drivers that came across the line a minute ago. That's Luca Furlick. He's through Canada corner, up the hill now. We'll see if he can improve on his 1:35.5. He only held pole for a couple moments.
Can you imagine as these guys get a little bit more heat in the tires, their time's going to improve. However, you're also going to be wearing out the tires quite a bit, pushing them to their limits.
1:35.2, that'll put him 3rd place. And looks like he'll pull off. Meanwhile, behind him, Thomas Ziegler looks like he's not quite through yet. It's the team car that just came through the start-finish line. Jason Siemens goes 2nd quick, a 1:34.994. See if anybody else comes up the hill. Here's Thomas Ziegler in the number 1 car. Ronaldo Augusto goes quicker, 135.2 for him. Severson Oliveira goes 135.2 as well. Very, very close in the midfield here. Ziegler across the line, 141.1. No quicker for him.
And then Marco Sanfilippo, he's coming across the line just now. Did not set the time. He's going to finally set one down and up to pole. Provisional. Well, actually not provisional pole, but just quickest driver in Q2.
Yeah, 134.1. Quickest time so far by over 1/10 of a second. Ben Fuller rounding out his lap. Heading through turn number 14. Big slide on corner exit. Can he hang on? Gonna hit pit lane here. He'll have to give up on that. Olin Jolivet coming up the hill now in the purple number 13 up across the line for him. What's it gonna be? A 134.9. That'll be good enough for, looks like, 4th place if it counts, and it does. 3rd place, podium for Owen Jolivet.
Only 70 thousandths faster than Siemens, and even Mata 2 is only 6 thousandths of a second off of Siemens. That is incredibly close at a place like Road America.
Ronaldo Augusto in 9th right now. His best time was a 135.3. Down into Canada corner, trying to carry speed on corner exit. We'll see if he can improve. Right now, provisional pole is held by Sanfilippo by 1/10 of a second over Danilo Sanfilippo. So both those drivers in the team cars at the top of the order.
And again, that team, Fratelli, Capone, Corset, running really well at the moment. These drivers looking extremely strong. They're 6/10 over the rest of the field by themselves. It's incredible pace out of those machines.
Ronaldo Augusto going to go 3rd quick, a 134.897 for him. Ben Fuller through turn number 5, trying to recover from his slip and slide at corner exit a little bit ago. Luka Furlick down through turn number 1, did not lay a lap time down last time through. Ronaldo Augusto, we mentioned he went 3rd quick. Owen Jolivet went 4th quick. Jason Siemens all the way down to 5th. I'm not sure he's going to be satisfied with that. He's going to try for another. Big slide through turn 6. He's going to run off track, and then he'll have to give up that lap time. Got a driver behind him. He's probably going to have to let go by here shortly.
Indeed, it does give way, and again, these guys being very, very respectful of one another, not trying to cut each other off. They could face a penalty if they do so. They got to be very careful and just keep out for the guys on a hot lap.
Andre Eisenlohr in the number 21 car. A driver that has not yet laid down a lap time that I'm sure he's super proud of. We come across the line in just a minute. We'll have just under 7 minutes to go. Eisenlohr, member of the F1 APS Black team.
And speaking of that team, more likely organization, they have 10 cars signed up to run in across 5 different teams, so they're looking pretty strong. However, it's still, even with 10 cars, none of them up on the top few spots, so they're still trying to go for some more pace.
Both Sanfilippo's through the carousel now. High speed through here, over 180 miles an hour. Now we're going to head down to the kink. It's going to be flat to the floor. There's Danilo coming through Sanfilippo. Marco Sanfilippo is going to be following not too far behind, and we'll see if one can beat the other. Right now, it's about 1/10 and 5 thousandths between them. Danilo through Canada corner, now heading up the hill to complete his lap. We'll see if it'll be an improvement.
Interesting to see if it is an improvement, as you're saying, because so much speed out of these guys. They're just now trying to extend their lead. We'll see if Danilo can also overtake Marco here in Q2.
134. Oh, he does! Danilo Sanfilippo quickest. Marco Sanfilippo up the hill now. Can he go back over his teammate across the line now? A 151.6 was not a time that he was probably going to record, but now down into turn 1, we'll see if he keeps up the speed. We'll ride on board here through the first corner.
See how quickly this guy's working through as he works through turn 3. Ben Fuller, he's now approaching the final turn on his hot lap. We saw him not being able to put a time earlier in Q2. Now he's going to come up and across the hill. Ben Fuller, we expect to see him somewhere in the top 3. And across the line for him.
And second. Wow.
Second.
A 134.051 will put him P2, splitting the Fratelli Capone Corse cars. So Sanfilippo first and third, Ben Fuller splitting the two, and it looks like Marco going to bail out of this lap and let on by another car. So he'll have to give up on that lap. He's currently scored in third. Ronaldo Augusto out on track right now through turn number 7, carrying speed. We'll see if he can improve on a 5th place run so far. Luka Furlick, he's heading down into turn number 5, down in 9th place. A little loose there. Severson Oliveira down in 11th. He's trying to improve as well. Emilio Fernandez Garrido down into turn number 8.
And Oliveira actually just got past with Charlie Bass in the 94 car. He just went 10 fastest and just puts him in position to transfer on to Q3. And now really as qualifying is starting to tick down, we're going to be looking at those bottom 5 positions, and they are extremely close. There's thousandths of a second between 10th through 15th. There's only, I think, 0.2 of a second covering all six places.
Rafael Mata goes just one spot better with a 134.980. And you mentioned the bottom 5 spots, but that starts with Severson Oliveira, who is rounding the final corner right now as he heads up the hill. He needs to gain 11 thousandths of a second to put him ahead of Charlie Bass to get into Q3. Across the line here, it's going to be 135.2. Is it going to be better? No, it's not. He's a little slower, so no improvement there. Thomas Ziegler in the, well, you see a car go out in front of him. I think that's Jason Siemens. Leandro Bignardi in the 15 car is all the way down at the bottom of the order. 28.4, pretty good first sector. We'll see if he can improve. He needs to gain about 0.2 of a second to get into Q3.
Yeah, all the guys starting to roll out here. They're starting their out laps here. They're only going to essentially have one more lap to put in to try to make sure that they're inside that top 10.
Bignardi really needs to make a big jump here down into Canada corner. Late on the brakes, trying to get every little bit of time that he can. Going to track out all the way to the gravel. Good clean lap here, though. 43.5 second sector. Burns in for the final corner, now up the hill.
From 14th here, we'll see where it is. He jump up again, looking for a time inside the top 10.
Not faster, 135.6. And it's amazing how close the field is. We have 15 drivers within a second and a half in a Formula 1 car. That's unheard of. Thomas Ziegler needs to improve his lap as well. His first sector was very slow. That's not going to be an improvement for sure. Andre Eisenlohr comes on through to start a flying lap down at 15th.
Yeah, he's got a lot of time to start making up here. He's only 22 thousandths of a second slower than Bignardi here trying to get those spots. And again, these guys, even if you don't transfer on, it's still a matter of fighting for 15th to 11th here to set your position.
Charlie Bass down in 10th. He's just trying to hang on. He's got 11 thousandths of a second over Severson Oliveira. He needs to improve his time. I do think that a 135.2 is going to be the cut line here, so he's going to have to improve if he wants to stay in for Q3. So Oliveira is out on track right now, heading down into, I believe that's turn number 5. Slow first sector, though, so I can't imagine this is a flying lap for him. Eisenlohr coming out through the carousel now. That was a better first sector, 28.4.
Flying on through the King, full tilt.
191 miles an hour, top speed into the braking zone for Canada corner. Flying through using all the downforce, tracking all the way out to the gravel. Eisenlohr trying to grab a Q3 position. He needs to beat a 135.2. His best time so far, a 135.5. He needs a 0.3 of a second improvement as he heads up the hill. Eisenlohr coming across the line. What's it going to be? A 135.225. Is it good enough? It is! He goes into Q3. Eisenlohr in the 21 to 10th.
Here comes Bass up the hill now. He's pushed back to 11th, just out of Q3. He comes across the line in the 94 and does not improve his time. He's going to sit back at 11th.
He's got one more lap, I believe, to improve, but he's out by 23 thousandths of a second. Severson Oliveira comes on through and starting a flying lap now, so we'll see where he can end up. Emilio Fernandez Garrido has not gone back out. Thomas Ziegler is coming out onto the final corner. We'll see if he can improve. He needs a 135.225 or better. 134.8. Ziegler goes into the top 10. Did it count? Yes, it does. He'll go all the way to 5th, and they'll put out Andre Eisenlohr. And has he backed off? I think he's still going. So now the driver on the cut line is Luca Furlick, and he is going to be out if he gets bumped here. He's sitting on pit lane. Didn't think he would get booted, but here he is sitting on the cut line with 4 thousandths of a second between him and Eisenlohr.
Yeah, we'll have to see here. Almost all the drivers out of the top 10 there on the track trying to put a lap in. Bignardi, he comes across the line, didn't count his last lap, but he's going to be on a hot lap and be able to complete it. You're looking at Eisenlohr.
Checkered flag out here in Q2. 2 minutes left for drivers to finish up their times. Eisenlohr comes up the hill. No times recorded in the sectors for him, so he might have dirtied this lap, but we're going to see if it counts as he comes across the line. Up the hill now through turn number 14. He's out in the grass. That was it. Eisenlohr is going to be out of Q2.
He's got the settle for 11th place. Meanwhile, Charlie Bass, you see him on the bubble the entire session here. He's coming out of the final corner up the hill. Can he just put himself into Q3?
Is it going to be an improvement, a 1:35.3? He will not. That was slower, so Charlie Bass is out of Q3. Severson Oliveira, he's up the hill now. Can he improve? He needs a 1:35.225, a 1:35.1. Severson Oliveira, he is into Q3 by 39 thousandths of a second. And Leandro Bignardi, the last driver, through the carousel now.
Oh, he's waiting on him.
Oh, he's off.
He goes flying off the track, and that's going to be the end of qualifying for the 15. Bignardi going to have to settle in that last spot.
What a battle we saw there. Excellent, excellent qualifying. So I can't believe you can make it this exciting. When you do it this way, it's just a blast to watch. So again, your quickest driver, Danilo Sanfilippo and Marco Sanfilippo, they're first and third with Ben Fuller bisecting those two. Ronaldo Augusto in fourth, Bruno Canovas in fifth, but the driver's out of Q2 and will not be able to qualify in Q3. Luca Furlick, Andre Eisenlohr, Charlie Bass, Emilio Fernandez Garrido, and Leandro Bignardi. They are out of Q3 and will have to start in 11th through 15th. Great fight there as the checkered flag falls, and that is going to be it for Q2. And we're going to start Q3 here in just a minute, but excellent. That's so much fun to watch. We've never done elimination style qualifying before, and it is a blast to watch. We're not going anywhere just yet. Going to hang tight here for a few minutes until Q3 begins. But your thoughts on Q2 and how important is qualifying going to be in the first U.S. Grand Prix for Formula I?
I definitely think it is, considering how many cars we have. Again, we're expecting about 27 cars to take the grid. At least that somebody showed up in qualifying for this event. So if it's a matter of starting, in the midfield, even towards the back, you got a lot of cars to navigate to. And again, dirty air is going to be a problem for these drivers, as there's not too many high downforce corners, but still enough where it's going to be a factor. So you want to keep yourself up as high through the order as possible. I think once you're in the top 15, top 10, you're looking at a decent run, but anything further back, it's really going to be bad. And now we're going to obviously set the grid for our top 10 positions. And I think, again, looking at the Sanfilippo drivers, both of them looking extremely quick compared to the rest of the field.
Again, that's Fratelli Capone Corsa, that team there with the kind of the off red color as their team colors. So we saw the Formula 3 race earlier today, a 30-minute long adventure in high downforce racing cars, and those cars don't have as much top speed. We saw the slipstream play a huge factor. You mentioned dirty air, the disadvantage of being behind the lead driver. What about the slipstream in the Formula 1 car? Is it as big of an effect, or will that be a major component in the race this afternoon?
I don't think it's going to be as big of an effect as we saw in F3, again, because those cars are a lot slower. That draft definitely is a lot more vital, a lot more important. However, that being said, slipstream is still important. It's definitely going to help you if you can get a good exit off the corner leading onto a straight. You can definitely use the slipstream to help make you, or help assist you in making a pass.
So, in just a moment, we'll be loading up here for Q3. And again, we're going to have 10 minutes for the quickest 10 drivers to lay down their best time. And I think we're looking at the pole sitter probably being one of the Fratelli Capone Corsa cars. But you have to look at Ben Fuller in the Galathea team car. And he really impressed. I mean, you mentioned earlier that he was third in Q1, but really showed off how good he was in Q2 when he went second quick, splitting those Fratelli Capone Corsa cars. Very impressive.
Yeah, and now interested in seeing how, if he can try to, again, if he's going to end up starting third, or if he's going to start second, or maybe even on pole, I think it's going to be really tough. The Fratelli Corsa cars, those guys looking really strong, and definitely the guys to beat in not only qualifying here for pole position, but also I think in the race when we get to it.
All right, so Q3 is about to begin, and we're here ready at the racetrack to bring it to you. In just a moment, we're going to have live timing and scoring available at SYMTVBroadcasting.com as we begin to roll off the grid down into the first corner. And cars are rolling here in Q3 for Formula I, Formula 1 World Championship. 10 drivers going for the best time that they can. Rafael Mata, the first driver on track. He might have jumped the gun here a little bit, though. That is practice still, so he'll have to try that again once the Q3 actually begins. It'll be 10 minutes on the clock. And here we go as the field rolls off down towards turn number 1. Jason Seaman's going to try to be the first one out, or maybe, yes, he will be the first car out on track. He'll pull over, let a few other cars out. Ronaldo Augusto is going to go out first. Thomas Ziegler in the 2 is the first one we see jump on the racetrack.
Yeah, you can Ziegler put in a really good time. I wasn't thinking that he would have been able to transfer on. He was down in the lower parts of the top 15 for a while, and then at the end, a very surprising lap to throw him up in the mix with everyone else towards the front. We'll see again if he can pull that magic in Q3.
Ben Fuller warming up the tires here. How much of a factor is warming the tires on a car that's not on the new tire model here, Finian? Is that a big factor, or is that just to help the driver's peace of mind here a little bit?
Definitely is, especially considering, again, the way the Formula 1 tires operate. You really want them to be nice and warm so you can push them to their absolute limits. So you're going to want to build up at least some sort of heat here for your qualifying lap.
Jason Siemens out of the Siemens Privateer team. His teammate Patrick Woodstrup didn't make it out of Q1, so Siemens is the lone driver there for that team. Danilo Sanfilippo in the 27, out on track as well. So you're only going to get a handful of laps here. You're going to have to make them count. Bruno Canova was also really impressive in Q2. We'll see if he can go any quicker. The F1 APS Red team out of Brazil.
And seems to be the quickest out of the F1 APS stable. Again, 10 cars is part of that organization, so we'll see here if we can try to maybe go a little bit harder, a little bit faster here as Ziegler comes out of the final corner onto the front straightaway. We're going to begin hot laps for Q3.
Cross the line for Ziegler and begin his first sector time. We saw sector times in the low 28-second bracket, which is the quickest that we saw in Q2. We'll see if he can go any quicker than that. The sector line is down this middle straightaway here. See him actually grabbing grass on the right side of the racetrack on that straightaway, trying to stay as far right as possible. Cross the line for Sector 1, going to be a 28.4, pretty respectable time for him. Owen Jolivet behind him, going to be a 28.7, so a little bit slower. Well, big slide through turn 5, couldn't get the car rotated. That might be a tire temperature thing, as you mentioned. Rafael Mata down the straightaway as well. His sector time, 28.6, so bisecting those previous two. Marco Sanfilippo, we'll see what he can run. Again, 28.4 is the quickest Sector 1 time we've seen so far. Across the line, going to be a 28.2, so that'll be quickest Sector 1 for Marco Sanfilippo.
And Ziegler here coming through the kink, flying on through there.
Down into Canada corner now. 43 seconds, second sector. That's a pretty quick time, I believe, as we head up the hill. And Ziegler will be the first driver to lay down a lap in Q3.
Yeah, this is going to be very important to the fact that we only have 10 minutes.
Whoa.
Oh, as he gets a little bit loose, saves and catches the car barely. But definitely going to cost him some time as he comes up the hill.
To be a 1:35.2, not a bad time. It's not going to hold for pole, though, I imagine. Second car across the line will be Owen Jolivet. That'll be a 1:35.5, so no quicker. Ronaldo Augusto goes a 1:34.891. Quickest lap we've seen so far. Danilo Sanfilippo, he's coming through the kink section now. He should be one of the next cars across the line. No, it's Bruno Canova, a 1:35.495. He'll go third quick.
Ben Fuller across the line for him. He's starting a lap. Oh no, he's up on the pole.
Yeah, 1:34.316 for Ben Fuller. That is an excruciatingly fast lap. And he's going to pull over to the side of the racetrack. That's job well done for him. Danilo Sanfilippo up across the start-finish line now, a 1:34.7. And so it will stand for Ben Fuller for now. Rafael Mata, where is he? Pulling out of the racetrack here to get a flying lap. Jason Siemens is working through turn number 6. But what a lap by Ben Fuller's number 55.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal job. We'll see if that stands again with the Sanfilippo drivers. I'm curious to see if something happened to them or if the small mistake, because they were 0.3 off Fuller. I'm not sure if he just found some more pace in these two after these two qualifying sessions. He's just been hiding his pace the whole time. We'll have to see.
Danilo Sanfilippo goes 28.2 again, but that was a 28.213 instead of a 28.295, so he is purple in Sector 1. Marco Sanfilippo, 28.223, so he's also running very quickly through Sector 1. He's through the carousel now on his second lap. Brutally fast through this section of the racetrack. 306, 307 Ks, 191 miles an hour into the braking zone for Canada corner.
Taking the brakes for him. And again, we're only we don't have that much time left in qualifying, so he can get the job done now. He's only really got enough time to go for another lap or two.
Did you see the bouncing that his car took over the curbs in Canada corner? absolutely obliterated that car. But he's going to hang on. We'll see if he can go quicker. It'll be a 1:34.3. It will be quicker, but not quickest. By 30 thousandths, Ben Fuller will hang on. Danilo Sanfilippo comes up the hill now. His best time so far, a 1:34.7. Will he improve?
See if he can.
Oh, a 1:34.0! Pole for Danilo Sanfilippo. What a lap there.
Yeah, this is kind of more along the lines of where we expected him to be, so we'll see now if Ben Fuller can answer the call as he comes through Canada corner and is going to be approaching the front straightaway. We'll see, can he improve and jump up back onto provisional pole?
Sector 1 was only a 35-second sector for him, so this was not a flying lap. He'll have to do that again here. Rafael Mata is out in the gravel over in turn number 2, so he'll get his way back on. Let's see what happened to him to put him out there. And just got out in the grass on corner entry, went straight off and managed to get the car turned. Kind of a scary place to be here. Right on board how fast things happen here.
See everything looking pretty fine here now down into turn 3. Just gets a little bit too far off into the grass and goes flying off. Luckily he did not hit the tire barrier.
So that time will have to be a throw out for him. Owen Jolivet is, he was in the grass through the kink, and that'll probably be a throwaway lap for him. Ben Fuller, first sector time, a 28.3. He's going to have to pick up in sector 2 or 3 if he wants to beat Sanfilippo's 1:34.0.
Definitely going to be a tough task up ahead for Fuller. He's still sitting, at least going to be looking at qualifying in second, but he can't, bank on that because, again, Marco Sanfilippo, speaking of which, who's just now coming onto the front straightaway, he's looking to try to pass Fuller and move himself into second, even provisional pole itself.
Well, he's just beginning a flying lap here, so no improvement that time through. Into the dirt in turn number 1, using every inch of the racetrack. Ben Fuller through Canada corner. Now, will he improve on his time? A 42.5. Not sure if that's going to be an improvement for Ben.
Look, it's a little bit of grass as well on entry.
Up the hill. He needs to beat a 1:34.0 across the line for him. It's going to be a 1:34.1. It's an improvement, but will not take him to the provisional pole.
I got him a lot closer there and give him a little bit more gap to work with to at least back to Marco Sanfilippo. So we'll see if Marco can try to improve as he's on a hot lap.
And a hot one it is, 28.2 for first sector. Not purple, I don't think, but certainly respectable. Got traffic up ahead, though. We'll see if it becomes a factor. Oh, crash in front of him. He'll have to go by. Wow, the speed differential there. I think it was Bruno Canova in the 23, but Marco's going to go on through. We'll see if it affected his sector 2 time. Let's see what it's going to be. 42.7. Into the braking zone for Canada corner. A minute left, so we'll get one more lap.
Everyone coming across the line now, as you're saying, has only one more lap left to give if they can use it. Out of the final quarter, he's getting really close to the grass, using all the curbs to try to
It'll be a good lap. It'll be a good lap. Here it comes across the line. 1:34.224. Not going to be good enough to beat Ben Fuller or Sanfilippo, so he will stay where he is. Ronaldo Augusto is coming up the hill now. We'll see if he can improve. Pretty good lap here. 1:34.6. It is an improvement, but will not get him on the front row. It'll be second row for Ronaldo Augusto. Thomas Ziegler is down the back straightaway on his last flying lap. 28.6.
Oh, and actually, Danilo Sanfilippo, he actually just went faster under a 1:34.
It's a 1:33.9 for him. An absolutely blisteringly fast lap for him. Severson Oliveira in the number 30. He comes up the hill now. Will it be an improvement? He needs to beat a 1:35.6, 1:35.4. That will put him up into 9th. So he'll gain one spot over Jason Siemens, who will probably be fairly disappointed in that qualifying effort.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised to see Jason all the way back down the yard. He's actually coming through the final sector of the track now, so might be able to muster up a faster time.
Oliveira will get one more lap as he came through with about 20 seconds left on the clock. Danilo Sanfilippo, 28.233 again. He's going to try to improve even on that. I don't think he needs to. He's almost 3/10 up on Ben Fuller, who's not going to challenge him. Marco Sanfilippo might, though, as he heads down into Canada corner. 28.18 first sector. That's an unbelievable sector one time. Purple for everybody as he comes up the hill.
be interesting to see now. Is it enough though? Did he make a mistake in either sector 2 or even in sector 3 here? He's actually going to pull it into the pits. Did not think it was fast enough.
He will give up on that time. Danilo Sanfilippo comes on through again. The Fratelli Capone Corsa drivers, first and third, with Ben Fuller splitting the difference up the hill now. And he's the last driver on the racetrack, so this will be it for pole. Can he hang on or improve? It will be a 1:33.8. He goes a tenth quicker. What? I mean, he's just out there bragging at this point. What a lap for Danilo Sanfilippo.
Insult to injury for everyone else there as he just went even faster. You already had provisional pole in the books, but now it's officially going to be, as Q3 finishes up, that Danilo Sanfilippo will start on pole.
There is your qualifying lineup, your top 10 drivers. We're going to step away for just a minute. We'll bring you the green flag for the first race of the season in Formula I, Formula One, the United States Grand Prix from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin's Road America. We'll be right back.
For those who competed decades ago, speeding down highways, through towns, country roads. For those who sat watching on the sides of the street, who found solace in chaos and thunderous speed. Even for those who grew up without the sights and the sounds, and live without race cars shaking the ground. Who don't understand why racing appeals to our fascination, wonder, and the way that we feel. A purpose-built place to camp and spend time with friends, watching racing together until darkness descends. Though no longer do the streets rumble and roar, there's a place just for this, a park to explore.
A road racing circuit before the assault. The 4 twisting, beautiful miles at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. For 6 brutal, ear-shattering hours, its serenity will be violated by the raw power of screaming racing machines. It's the famed end-of-season endurance classic, the Road America 500. The specially constructed race circuit at Elkhart Lake at normal speed is a scenic 4-mile drive through fall-tinted Wisconsin countryside.
Hidden by forests near Elkhart Lake, not a path nor a trail, but a road meant to race. In a town too quiet, the refuge we seek, Road America, the racetrack, the national park of speed.
Would you like to have a career in racing, and if so, what would you like to do, Dale?
Well, I want to be a race car driver someday. That's, it's all I've ever known, racing.
What did you want to be when you grew up? So many people live a life of what if. Go to school. Go to college. Get a 9-to-5. This is how we support our dreams. With a safety net. Because we're unsure about taking a leap of faith. Because we're afraid. As we grow, we cross things off our list of dreams. We cut them down, make them realistic. Having control of things is reassuring. But for some, the rush of being out of control is what gives them life. Some say racing cars is reckless. Maybe they're right. Out of bounds isn't just cheating, it's cheating death. Football fields made up in seconds. Decisions made in instants. For the people that climb behind the wheel of these cars, they're not driving it. They become part of it. It's an extension of the body. As a child, I looked up to these people, faces hidden by helmets. The less you saw of the driver, the more believable it became that they were, in fact, just part of the machine. It's easy to forget that inside the cockpit is someone just like us, but with the mindset that fear is a motivation, not a barrier. But the reality is, race car drivers are not like us. They never cross anything off their list of dreams. They just keep writing more. Daytona.
This is the finish of the Daytona 500. Side by side.
Le Mans. Indianapolis. Monaco. Places that used to be just places, now international symbols of victory. To those that enjoy the spectacle of racing, the 2 feet of concrete and steel cables are a wall between us and them, between sitting in the grandstands and standing in victory lane. These same walls are a stark, immovable reminder that racing drivers put their lives on the line for the sake of the thrill and entertainment. Despite the risk, despite the heartbreak,
Oh my gosh!
despite the cost. There are some on the sidelines who are fascinated by the danger. They are fascinated by speed, fascinated by the undying desire to be just a little bit better. Their dreams erased by geography, finances, or the lack of a famous last name. There are some who once wished to be a race car driver, but aren't, because they didn't get the chance. And they thought they'd spend the rest of their lives watching their heroes on television, or from the other side of the fence. They thought it was impossible to climb into a race car, so they crossed it off their list.
I don't know that we'll see a pass here as they go. A deep dive on the brakes. Here comes the 680 to the inside.
By 7 on the second. God, I can't believe what we just saw.
A beautiful road winds through the cinnamon summer countryside in rural Wisconsin. It's a purpose-built road, one born out of necessity to move the nearby town's racing habits to a safer place. In 1955, this road was paved with the sole intention of being the place to race. In the heart of the country, they called it Road America. And how fitting that name is. For Formula I's first round of the season, they'll tackle the 4-mile ribbon of asphalt known as the National Park of Speed, bringing with it a brand new era on SYM TV. It's time for the first round of the Formula I Formula One World Championship at the United States Grand Prix in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin's Road America. Welcome to SYM TV. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Vinny and Dakuna for what is sure to be an extraordinary show of speed, excitement, and chaos at one of the greatest racetracks on the continent of North America. Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin's Road America was built in 1955. The nearby town has a population of only 1,000 people. Just like Watkins Glen in upstate New York, it is a quiet town most of the year. But when racing comes to town, it is a cacophony of engines, tire scrubbing, spinning, and cheering. As we tackle the 14-turn, 4.048-mile road course for the first round of the season. In 2 weeks' time, we'll head all the way to South America, to Brazil for a Brazilian Grand Prix. But today is all about one of the American classics, one of the only tracks in the world that retains its original configuration. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian Dakuna for the U.S. Grand Prix or Formula I. All right, Finian, it's finally time to go racing. We just came off of what was the most entertaining qualifying session I've ever watched on a sim racing broadcast before, but it's time to go racing. Your thoughts on this afternoon's event, and who's going to come home with the trophy in the first round of the season?
Yeah, honestly, again, it's looking like the team we're watching, the San Filippo drivers, both part of Fertilia, Capone, Corsa, gonna potentially take, I imagine, at least two of the steps, the three steps on the podium. And we saw Ben Feller up there in the mix, also looking really strong. So I think amongst those three drivers, definitely the ones to watch. But just in general, really happy to be broadcasting this series. These guys, phenomenal job. Also want to give a shout out to Jason and Carl, the admins for this series, for getting qualifying set up. That ran pretty much flawlessly and was fantastic to watch, and can't wait to get this race underway where we release 27 F1 cars here around Road America.
We have, as just mentioned, almost 30 of these cars, and we've only seen about a handful of them because the bottom 15 or so didn't make it out of Q1, which was scheduled slightly incorrectly, so we missed that session. We'll have Q1 through Q3 starting in Brazil in 2 weeks' time. But for everybody else, they got a little bit of screen time, and it was a couple drivers towards the top of the order that were super impressive. Charlie Bass in the 94 was one of those drivers, ran up, and he will start on the front row alongside Danilo Sanfilippo in the 27. Marco Sanfilippo will start third directly behind his teammate as we work on finishing up the warm-up here. Let's have a quick look at the weather information for this afternoon's event. 75 in the air, 77 on the racetrack. Beautiful day, beautiful summer day here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It's a perfect time, a perfect date for racing. Just out west of the Midwest here, just north of Milwaukee, about an hour. Again, this afternoon, if you want to watch live timing and scoring, you can do that at simtvbroadcasting.com/timing. You'll get lap times, iRatings, gaps, best lap, positions, numbers, all of the above. If you want to follow your favorite team and or driver, simtvbroadcasting.com/timing is the place to go. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram, as well as Twitter, to be updated with everything that's going on in the Sim TV world. We do sim racing most of the time, but I'm also affiliated with Grid Life and their brand new Touring Cup series, which will resume at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course at the end of July. My commentary will move from the virtual realm to the real world, as it has in previous rounds at Gingerman Raceway, as well as Road Atlanta with Finian last October. So, checker flag here for warm-up, and now it's time to go racing at Road America. We'll bring you the grid here in just a moment, but Danilo Sanfilippo will be your pole sitter. A wonderful day for racing at Road America. Down on the racetrack now, as we get ready to go racing, here is your grid. On the front row, Danilo Sanfilippo with his teammate Marco Sanfilippo right behind him. To the outside, Ben Fuller on the outside of the front row, then Ronaldo Augusto in fourth, Owen Jolivet in fifth, and Bruno Canova starts in sixth.
And moving on back, we got Thomas Seeger lined up in seventh, Rafael Mata in eighth, Severson Oliveira in 9th, Jason Siemens in 10th, Luca Furlick in 11th, and Andre Eisenlohr in 12th.
In 13th, Charlie Bass, Emilio Fernandez Garrido. We're going to run out of time here to show you the grid, so just hang tight as we go through the rest. You're going to see some of the team cars, Carlos Couture and Cody Sandwith, 17th and 18th in row number 9. Then all the way down through the rest of the order, you're going to see a couple more team cars spread throughout the grid here this afternoon. So the race is beginning. The United States Formula One Grand Prix for Formula I is about to go racing from the National Park of Speed. Green flag flies and we're racing from Road America. The field flies down towards turn number 1, 3 wide. Already Ben Fuller side by side with Daniel Sanfilippo as they head down to turn 1, 3 wide in the background, almost looking 4 wide as they enter turn number 1. The two TNT racing cars. Throw sideways is Thomas Ziegler out of turn 1. The whole field gets stacked up. Emilio Garrido has to jump on the binders to avoid a collision as they head down into turn number 2 and 3.
Fantastic start from Ben Fuller. Is going to take the lead and try to drive away with it as everyone racing down the middle straightaway, down towards turn 5 for the first time.
Steven Grabowski's had an issue in the background, so he is going to go off in the first corner, but Ben Fuller takes the lead away as they head down into turn 5 for the first time. Now everyone funnels down into 5, getting real tight together. There's Andre Eisenlohr, who struggled in Q3, up the inside of that is Thomas Ziegler right in front of him, and Jason Siemens to his outside, who qualified 10th in Q3. Talis Toledo around in turn number 5.
We're trying to look at that car. Doesn't look like he's got any damage, so he'll roll back in the right direction. We got another spinner. Flavio Clavati gonna spin around. He's gonna get that looped in back in the right direction. Charlie Bass in the number 94. He started in 13th. He's dropped to 16th. So trouble for him in the early going, down 3 spots. Ben Fuller, though, with a very strong start, pulls away from the Filippos down into Canada corner. Yeah, fantastic lead, and he's still trying to hike ahead, away and drive away from these guys. And we saw how quick the San Felipe drivers were in qualifying, trying to see if they have that race pace to keep up with Fuller, who's starting to hike out ahead.
Very busy place in the background. Corey Whiting in the number 7. He did not make it out of Q1 today. Started in 16th. He's gained 2 spots into 14th so far. Emilio Fernandez Garrido had to jump on the binders to avoid a collision in the first corner. He drops down to 15th, only 1 spot from where he started. Up in 6th place, how about this? Olin Jolivet, and I think that's Rafael Mata to the outside.
Yeah, Mata just went around him in turn 1. A great pass done by Mata. Still not done yet. Luca Furlick on the inside of Jolivet, and he's going to still try to fight him here out of turn 3.
Don Day hits pit lane, so trouble for the 26 early in the going. Furlick going to tuck back in front of Jolivet, but he's going to have the slipstream down towards turn number 5. We'll see if he has a lookout to driver's left or driver's right. Going to go to the right, into the braking zone for 5. Way deep on the brakes to the outside line. Can he hang on? Not quite. Behind him, Ziegler jumps in deep into the corner. More issues behind him, Sandwith and Woodstruck. Big stack up out of the corner. Car spun. It's Fernandez Garrido. He has looped it in turn number 5. Oh, and Jolivet, he's upside down at the exit of turn number 7. Huge crash for the 22 driver, and Jolivet is out of the United States Grand Prix at Road America.
Trying to look at what happened to him. He just got loose, it seems, coming into turn 7 here.
Yeah, there was a slip up in front of him, and he just looped it, trying not to run into the back of Furlick, backs it into the tire barrier, up and over. That's the end of the day for Jolivet. A disappointing start for him and his team. Ziegler and Furlick side by side through Canada corner. Nose gets chopped behind him. Severson Oliveira, who started this race back in the 9th spot. He's up to back to 10th, but he's got a train of cars in front of him that he needs to get by if he wants to advance.
Yeah, he went way too hard into Canada corner.
Oh, in front of him! Ziegler's around.
Oh, and contact into the wall. Another car wrecking, and it's Furlick that's going to get major damage to his machine.
As Ziegler looped it, and does he have damage on that car? You see the front wing all destroyed. Furlick going to lose a bunch of spots as well. And TNT teammate Leon goes on by. I believe that is... trying to see what team that is. The TNT racing car. The other car would be Charlie Bass, who is up to 13th place now. Up in front, no challenges for the lead. It's still Ben Fuller by 1.2 seconds. Both Sanfilippo 2nd and 3rd. Teammates together here, Finian. Do you think they're going to have the pace to run down Fuller?
Yeah, I think they will. Again, we're looking, all 3 of those cars looking very strong in qualifying. I was actually expecting at least one of the 2 Sanfilippo drivers to be up in front, but it's Fuller that was able to get a fantastic start off the line and see another battle into turn 5.
That's Carl Flemister behind Carlos Couture. Gomez, who he's out wide at the exit of turn number 5, will lose a couple spots. And Wesley Batista in the 28 car in 16th. Batista, part of the F1 APS Black team, teammates with Eisenlohr, who's looks like he has gained his way up into 7th.
Eisenlohr, a great climb forward after starting in 12th. Again, just missed out on Q3, but has found himself up into 7th place. Great run from the 21.
So the first couple laps are out of the way. 33 laps in this race. We're 3 laps down already. Up in front, Ben Fuller has driven away. Behind him, Robert Woodstrup and Ziegler battling for 14th place. Slide for Ziegler into Canada corner.
Gets the grass, is going to loop it back around, causes a massive check for everyone else, but everyone looks like they avoided in contact.
Yeah, this is a disastrous start for Ziegler. Started up in 7th. He's lost 13 spots en route to a 20th position running order. Ronaldo Augusto is way out wide in turn number 1. Here comes Canovas to the inside. This is for 4th in the race right now, and Canovas unable to get the pass done here. He'll try again in turn number 3 and go up the inside, and he's got it.
And barely, though. You see Augusto trying to get a run back on him. It doesn't look like it looks like he's going to get a bit of a run, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough as he head into the corner. So teammates exchange position.
Into turn number 5 now, and nice and clean, a little bit wide there on the exit of the rumble strips. Pretty wide and flat here, but they can't upset the car, especially on corner apex. Here's Eisenlohr and Oliveira battling for 7th, with Corey Whiting in behind. Whiting started this race in 16th. He's up 7 spots after missing out on getting to Q2.
Yeah, just so must have been a little bit disappointed he didn't make it into Q2, but again, a nice solid run inside the top 10 and looking at getting more. He's got 2 drivers directly ahead of him, both Oliveira and Eisenlohr.
There's Gomez with Carlos Couton right behind him as they head down into turn number 8. Couton a little bit wide through 8, and Garrido is right behind him, ready to pounce.
Garrido actually has some rear wing damage to that machine, so he's going to be struggling a bit. You can see right there. Not going to be doing him any favors in the high downforce corner. He's going to struggle. And you can see how wide he's going to go. He's going to almost get off the track. You see Brizzola around.
Silvio Brizzola single car spin by himself in turn number 8. Oliveira and Whiting fighting through the final corner, but up front, Ben Fuller setting the pace right now, 2.1 seconds in front of Danilo Sanfilippo, who won a pretty decisive pole position. Not surprised that he's gained this much time so quickly.
Yeah, I'll have to see, if the Sanfilippo drivers are both saving stuff up, maybe for later just washing their tires, or if Fuller is just that much quicker in race room.
Wesley Batista and Patrick Woodstrup. Woodstrup, one of the Siemens Privateer team cars. Jason Siemens is the teammate. He's up in 10th. Woodstrup in 15th.
Woodstrup qualified all the way back in 20. It was not a particularly good qualifying effort for the 9 machine, but now trying to redeem himself now in the race, trying to get 14th away from Batista.
A number of drivers have already made pit stops. We have 1 retirement so far. Owen Jolivet in the 22 car. You saw the big crash he had at the exit of turn 7. That's it for him. Batista runs wide at the exit of 5. So does Woodstrup. Carlos Couton and Garrido continue their scrap. That's in turn number 6. Garrido again fighting that rear wing damage. The high-speed sections of this racetrack are not going to be kind to the damage he has on that car.
Seeing these guys come to the carousel again, this is really the corner that he's going to be struggling quite a bit with, that lack of rear downforce. And he's got to be careful, too, of the back end of the car just sipping out. It's very easy to have that happen, and there's pretty much nothing you can do at that point once these cars get sideways.
Cody Sandwith, how about this scrap here? Jason Siemens all over Cody Sandwith. That's for 11th, and Charlie Bass is right behind them as they head through turn number 14. Big bobble, and I think Sandwith is off. And he's in the barrier. That's a big hit for Sandwith. That could be a retirement, or at least a pit stop here for the 14.
This is going to be tough. He's got to get to the opposite side of the track, finds a hole in traffic, is able to do so.
That's a Team Furlick car. Go back and kind of watch this again, see how he got himself in this situation. Just comes out of turn number 14, and I think you're going to see him maybe grab a little bit of grass on the apex right there. Just upsets the car. He bounces over the curb and goes straight off into the tire barrier. A big damage on the nose of the 14. He's going to come into the pits to fix that. Thomas Ziegler has also hit pit lane. Been there for a while. Pedro Gomez also might be retired in this 25 car, so not a great start for a couple drivers. Sandwith is in pit lane now repairing that car. Closest battle right now, Steverson Oliveira and Corey Whiting for 8th.
Whiting started closing. You see him get really deep and really close into turn 8 to the back of Oliveira. Now following through the carousel, you can see them running just a little bit offline to the car ahead. You don't want to be completely in that dirty area. This is the tough part again. There's no DRS for these guys to work with, so they just got to drive their way up to the car in front of them.
And no funny business. This is just straight up racing right now. The slipstream, the only advantage the trailing driver will have. 311 kph into the braking zone for Canada corner. He misses the turn in. Gonna kill the momentum on exit for Corey Whiting. Up front, Ben Fuller. Been dominant so far. He's led all 6 laps that we've completed so far. His last lap scored as a 1:35.703. It was his best lap and a full 10th quicker than Danilo Sanfilippo in second.
Yeah, he's done a solid job with the race pace that he's showing at the moment. We'll see if he can keep it up. And, you know, looking at these guys from qualifying to race trim, they're running about a little over, almost 2 seconds slower than their qualifying laps.
Here's Leandro Bignardi in the number 6 car. And running right now for Sub Racing Black as they cross under the Sargento Bridge. He's got Jason Siemens chasing from behind into the braking zone for 5. Late on the brakes goes Jason Siemens. Can he get the car slowed to the apex? Yes, he does. Siemens up to 10th.
Yeah, a bit of a lockup was able to do it. Ooh, I see a puff of smoke. Not sure what happened there.
It doesn't look like anybody's had trouble. Somebody just been a lockup. 3 drivers retired from the United States Formula 1 Grand Prix. Thomas Ziegler, Pedro Gomez, and Owen Jolivet. Jolivet's teammate is... let's see if Jolivet had a teammate here. It's Jordan Sinibaldi in the DTS RL Racing car. Don't see him out here today.
Yeah, I just found out what caused that smoke cloud. Stefan Grabowski in the 44. He spun out of turn 5, and Rafael Mata almost got into him out of turn 5.
Here's a look. Let's have one look here at exactly how this happened. Steven Grabowski into the braking zone for turn number 5. Ran wide on exit, gets in the rumble strip there.
And watch on board with Mata, or you're going to see him go right there.
Yeah, let's ride on board with Rafael Mata here as they come down into turn number 5. And this is unsighted because the concrete is in your way. Make the corner, come out of it. Oh, there's a car on the track. Left, right, right.
My blood pressure went up just looking at that. I can't imagine how Mata was under the helmet. He got a little bit of grass coming out of turn 3.
Leandro Bignardi and Charlie Bass, fighting for 11th place. Bignardi again for Sub Racing Black. Charlie Bass running for TNT Racing in the bright yellow livery.
There's actually Grabowski there, slow on the left side. He's a lap down, letting the lead lap cars on by.
The last driver running on the racetrack looks like Don Day has taken his car to pit lane, so not sure what has happened to the 26, but his day looks to be over. Oh, Jason Siemens around at a 10th place, right in front of the rest of the field. Big trouble for one of the Siemens Privateer Group cars, and he's going to fall in behind his teammate Patrick Woodstruck. Let's go back and see how Siemens found himself here.
Coming up to turn 6, this is a really difficult corner here. Just charges in just a little bit too hard. Back in, comes around, tries to save it, but not enough.
Whew, and right through. I think that was Bignardi that went by. Siemens will recover. Oh, no, the race leader is... Oh, okay. Whew. I scared myself for a second. I thought he was crashed. I'm sorry for freaking everybody out. He's in pit lane for a pit stop here. Scheduled stop for the race leader. You can't do that to me, guys. I wasn't ready for pit stops yet. Making me nervous.
Yes, we're going to dip into the pits here, so I'm interested in seeing, what's the difference here in strategy between Ben Fuller and our now current race leaders, Danilo and Marco Sanfilippo.
Now it's all that comes down to strategy. Will they just try to overcut? What's the tire wear going to be like? I don't think it's significant at all. We're still running times that are pretty much on par with, if not faster than the start of the race here. So will Sanfilippo try to overcut this, or do you think they're going to just try to respond and pit now?
We'll see. I honestly have no clue what they're going to do. I'll have to see here what the strategy is going to look like for our leaders.
And Fuller
come back out in the middle of traffic, and this is the problem too when you think like this. You just get spat out right. He got lucky, got spat right in front of this train of cars.
Jason Siemens right behind him. We documented his spin a lap ago. Carl Flemister, who started 24th. He's up 9 spots into 15th. Good climb for him. As you see, Siemens try to go around the inside, couldn't do it. And here comes Flemister to the inside now.
Yep, going to try to take advantage of it. Not close enough into turn 6. Oh no, again he's going to go spinning.
Trouble spot for Siemens today. And this is not, I think that this is the most difficult corner on this racetrack. It's not an easy corner to get right. And I think you saw him lock up into turn 5, kind of threw him off his game, might have gotten the tires a little bit dirty, then he go up to the next corner. just steps out. Not a lot of downforce to lean on there either. Well, it's really all up to the mechanical grip of the car, and if you don't have a lot of mechanical grip built in, if your springs are a little too stiff, you're going to find yourself looping it pretty easily there. Carl Flemister's got real busy with Fernandez Garrido right behind him for 14th.
This is a really tricky section to try to run in behind another driver. And even Garrido, he's got damage to the rear wing, like his teammate did, Grabowski, early on in the race. Almost exactly the same amount of damage as well.
Down towards turn number 1, speeds climbing well over 190 miles an hour, 310 kph into turn number 1 for Garrido. And you got to watch the arrow push off the lead car here, Finney. And if you follow too closely, you're going to lose that downforce on the nose of the car and struggle to turn.
You can see him take it tighter, line through the corner to keep the car pulled to the apex. Doesn't want to drift up too wide. You find yourself in the grass. Now here he's going to get a really good slipstream on the car ahead of Flemister, and he's just trying to defend now. Not close enough to turn 5.
Definitely close, and Flemister's feeling the pressure. We're going to pull over. I think he's just letting Garrido on by. Doesn't want to create any issues there. So, look, that looked sort of intentional to me.
No, that was not.
Oh, was it not?
He had a bit of, he had a bit of wheel spin, and then essentially he was just like, yeah, I'm just going to let you on by before he had more contact in turn 6.
Andre Eisenlohr from 12th to 6th. This is a really good drive for the F1 APS Black team. Wesley Batista is back at 11th, so 6th and 11th, still not quite in podium position, but a good run for both these drivers.
Speaking of Batista, too, he climbed from 23rd up to 11th, so a really good climb for Wesley.
Didn't even make it out of Q1. And as it stands, Patrick Woodstrop, the other Siemens privateer car, this is at the exit of Canada Corner, right in front of Carl Flemister, and that was almost disaster.
That really was. He's really on a very awkward part of the track and just finally finds a hole in traffic and is able to get that car corrected, but both those cars struggling with grip.
Let's go back and have a look here. This was in Canada Corner. Again, another slow speed right-hander. And that, again, catches the curb, and ooh, he got in the wall there too. But caught the curb, and that could have had more to do with it. It doesn't look like it was just a straight-up mechanical grip loss, Finian, but these cars still very unstable, and Woodstrop's now going to hit pit lane to repair that front wing.
Yeah, it just seems like whatever setup both the Woodstrop and Siemens are running, I just don't think they're running enough either wing in the rear or just a mechanical grip in the rear. They've both been struggling with that back end coming around.
Well, look at the teams right now. Sanfilippo and the Fratelli Capone Corsa cars. They're first and second. Then Bruno Canovas and Ronaldo Augusto. They're the next team down, which is F1 APS red team. So 2 teams sweeping the first 2 rows. Woodstrop leaves pit lane. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just looking down the order as well. Then it's a little bit more spread out as you go further down the grid.
Rafael Mata, 8th to 5th. Pretty quiet day for him. And Mata for F1 APS Gold. No teammate today. Probably another driver lost to the Spa 24. A pretty good run for Rafael so far. Whoa, Siemens. Why? I just have to think that Siemens is running really low downforce.
That's what I'm saying. I think, again, just struggling with the grip and the back end of that car. And, it's a gamble. You got a lot more straight line speed. You have to be very careful getting back on the throttle and also just navigating through some of these corners that demand that you have more grip.
That's Leandro Magnardi to the inside. He's got big right side damage on that car. Let's see what found himself in this position. This is coming up. This is kind of a weird spot to crash. This is coming up the hill through turn number 13 after Canada Corner.
Because you got too much curve.
No, just
got loose.
Spun out. And did get got the wall pretty good there on the right.
Yeah, one of those high downforce corners where you really need some grip, and most of the cars are fine because you're not going that fast, but again, in an F1 car, you're going at such high speed, you see the car crabbing down pit road as he's trying to get that thing repaired. Back to
Flemister and Siemens, the 2 sort of masterminds behind these series, running 13th and 14th. Well, out of a chance for a podium today. Mistakes for Siemens have brought him back here. Here comes Siemens up the inside of Flemister. This is for 13th into turn 5, and just going to heed that position. Up to 6th, Andre Eisenlohr. Stevenson Oliveira behind him in the purple livery car, the silver adorning the side of it from Brazil. Home race next week for Stevenson Oliveira. If he could get a top 5 or a podium, this would certainly be a great way to carry momentum into your home race.
Yeah, So then we'll see if we can, again, keep it up. And let's see, running. Where is he at the moment?
P7.
Yeah. So yeah, and again, also looking really forward to seeing these cars race at Interlagos. That's a fantastic racing facility.
And a bit more Formula One-y than Road America is, but I'd say Road America is a pretty good Formula One track from what we've seen so far. Some really good battles.
Well, only thing is that in Oliveira's case, he's going to have to be fighting with Bruno Canova, who's also another Brazilian driver, and he's currently running in third on the podium.
And that would be, like I mentioned, for the Brazilian drivers heading to their home race next week, carrying momentum is one of the best things you can do when Canova's sitting on the bottom step of the podium.
I just organized the field by club, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I think 11 or 12 Brazilian drivers.
Okay, so the entire field is heading to their home race next week.
The majority of them, indeed.
So, let's talk about pit stops. Ben Fuller made a pit stop earlier in this race. He sits 11th now and is running okay lap times, a 1:36.6 last time by, but Sanfilippo, both the Sanfilippos ran faster than that by almost half a second last lap.
Yeah, I'm curious, and I have to imagine they're going to have to pit. They're very close on the limit of fuel. It's barely enough to make it to the end. I don't think that they would be able to. You might get pretty close, but I think you're going to have to make at least one stop for fuel. So I'm curious to see what Fuller's got in store here after making a pit stop. It was only ones of the leaders to make a pit stop, so we'll see how that plays out. Still running in 11th.
Oh, Flemister, car off big time. Who was that? That was Zach Grabowski. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Coming out of turn number 6. Here's a look here.
Turn 6 seems to be Calamity Corner here in this race.
Oh, man, that's a big hit. And Stephen Grabowski's United States Grand Prix looks to be over. We have a battle for fifth spot. Andre Eisenlohr goes through Rafael Mata for 5th. Puts himself inside the top 5. Moves Mata outside. And Steverson Oliveira looking on from behind and licking his chops here. Ooh, big understeer through turn 3.
Run pretty wide there, so he's now trying to get back on the power, trying to catch back up to Mata. And then also all of them got to catch Eisenlohr.
Mata looks sort of slow on the straightaways here. Might be running a bit of a higher downforce configuration. Up the hill towards turn 6, and this is, as you mentioned, been the trouble spot today, but because it's so flat, it's slightly off camber, it's very difficult to get power down, and it's deceivingly tight, as Wesley Batista's gone around in turn 5. F1 APS Black team driver. Charged it a little bit too hard. Harmless spin there.
Great job. Yeah, great job getting that car under control, but in doing so, it's gonna. You just saw Ben Fuller get past, so he moves himself back inside the top 10.
And I'm really curious how Batista goes around again in turn number 8 this time. We're going from bad to worse. Got the tires all hot in that car. Difficult to cool them down.
Yeah, that's the thing we were talking about earlier in qualifying. It's important to get some heat in the tires. That being said, you can easily overheat these tires as well, and you're going to be in a world of trouble trying to get them cooled back down to normal operating temperatures.
F1 APS Silver Team. Steverson Oliveira looking on Rafael Mata, and he's hungry. Going to use the slipstream up the front straightaway to see if he'll have a draft down into turn number 1.
I have a massive slipstream. In fact, he's definitely going to be there. Does he actually want to make the pass? Indeed, he's got a massive run here. Who's going to give and who's going to take? It's going to be Oliveira with a big dive into turn 1. Will get the spot easily.
Mata drops back down to 7th. Oliveira up to 6th. So we're approaching the halfway point here, and this might just be a simple halfway in pit situation for the 2 race leaders, I would think.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it's going to play out. We still haven't got any of our leaders really to come down. All of the top 17 drivers, actually, I just said Carlos Couto going to come down into pit road just now in his 10 machine, so I think we're going to start to see that trickle of drivers, as you're saying, as we're approaching halfway.
Part of the White Coat F1 team, Corey Whiting, the other driver on that team, and I would have expected him to pit on the same lap, but different strategies. Corey Whiting up inside the top 10, might not want to give up position right now. And teammates in 3rd and 4th, Bruno Canova, Ronaldo Augusto in the F1 APS Red team, 3rd and 4th, and Augusto's closing in.
If you see these guys are going to battle up for position, they're just going to continue to form their running, and they're trailing 11.5 seconds from the team up ahead of them, the Fratelli Capone Corsa teammates. So curious to see if they're going to stick the order, kind of like what we saw in the F3 race with the What was it? MPR?
MPH Racing Team. Greedo and Batista, that's for 11th, and Greedo around Batista, and kind of documented the struggles there. Rafael Mata hits pit lane in the 96. And we'll see what the strategy is here, and our tires going to be worth it. I would think they would be because they changed so quickly, Finn. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't change them.
No, and again, you are going to be coming in for fuel as well, so you might as well take some tires to boot as well.
And there's Greedo and Batista down the front straightaway into turn number 1. Batista taking the look out to driver's right, unable to get there. Slow and off track is Greedo at the exit of 1, though, and here comes Batista having a look. Oh, big understeer through turn 3, though, in the aero wash of the lead car.
When you see you had that aero wash, but the draft itself, look at the run that he gets. Here he goes for a pass.
Not quite clear. He's going to outlast a little bit longer on the brakes through to 10th as Wesley Batista. Garrido goes back to 11th. Jason Siemens is on pit lane in the number 12 car, and he's back out on track in the Siemens Privateer team in 17th.
Now again, I just kind of appear to our leaders when they're going to come in. They actually just went flying past the pit lane, so they're going to stay on another lap looking at that is trying to see
Batista and Garrido back again for 10th. Hasn't quite sorted itself out yet. Greedo a little bit wide in the carousel. Up front, 0.6 of a second between our race leaders, Danilo Sanfilippo and Marco Sanfilippo. Fratelli Capone Corsa drivers who have been dominant so far today. But Ben Fuller, oh no, second place!
Marco.
Sanfilippo hard in the wall at the exit of turn 5, and the Grand Prix for Marco Sanfilippo is over. And he's retired with one little slip up and a mistake. That's it. That's heartbreak. The slightest of touches on the curb and big impact into the inside wall. And that'll do it. Unfortunately for Marco Sanfilippo, he's done.
Yeah, it might not have seemed like a lot of damage, but trust me, that absolutely would have torn into suspension, so definitely going to be a retirement for him. I'm really unfortunate after looking at a solid second place finish minimum for Marco Sanfilippo. He's going to be retired out of the United States Grand Prix.
Ben Fuller in 6th. Remember, he was the race leader for the first handful of laps. He came down to pit lane. I think he's still set to cycle out. The question is, Danilo Sanfilippo has been running really fast laps so as he comes into pit lane. So here we're going to go. We'll see if the overcut's going to work for Sanfilippo.
So here's looking at their pit lane times. The gap between Fuller and Sanfilippo was 39.7 seconds. Fuller spent 39.3 seconds in the pit, so it's going to be mighty close between these two.
We'll follow Danilo down pit lane, and we'll see if this is going to work out for Danilo. Into the pit box.
You got to make sure to not overshoot your pit stall. I imagine he's practiced that quite a bit as you look at Ben Fuller here working through into the final corner here.
Danilo is going to be leaving pit lane here shortly. I'd imagine Ben Fuller already up the front straightaway at speed. Sanfilippo leaves. Here they come. Will the overcut work across the start-finish line? And Danilo Sanfilippo will keep the race lead in the United States Grand Prix for Formula I. He hangs on with an overcut strategy. It plays out. It works. He takes the lead away from Ben Fuller.
That being said, it's going to take about half a lap for the tires to get up to temperature. It's not going to be good out of the gate, so Fuller has a chance to try to close in, but it's definitely going to be close. And guess what, Danilo Sanfilippo, he lost his rear gunner, so he's going to be out there by himself. We're going to see two different teams fighting it out for the lead here.
So Ben Fuller, is that going to shake his confidence and his motivation here a little bit? He had the race lead for the early part of the race, led the first 7 of the 18 laps that we've run so far, came down to pit lane, and now he comes back out behind Danilo. So you have to wonder, most of that time was had on the racetrack. Their pit times were pretty much identical, so Danilo a little bit quicker through the second part of the race that we've run so far.
Yeah, I think Fuller might have lost some time again. Remember, we were talking about he pit earlier, spat him out back in traffic, so I think he lost a little bit of time navigating through that traffic while Danilo had pretty much clean air to work with the entire first half of this race.
But you see now, Sanfilippo starting to see the 55 get a little bit bigger in the rear view mirrors. Ben Fuller from the Galathea team, no teammate this afternoon. And neither does Danilo Sanfilippo after the crash by a teammate Marco a few laps ago. Marco's back out on the racetrack now in 19th place.
Yeah, these drivers do have one fast first. He's going to try to continue out, but it's going to be a pretty lonely race for him, and just way down the order 19. We'll see what he can salvage.
Ronaldo Augusto hits pit lane. He was the race leader before the pit stop sequence finished, so he's going to drop down to at least third. More drivers coming to pit lane to finish out the rest of the sequence here. Ben Fuller has closed within 9/10 of a second. He's definitely quicker on the fresher tires, or quicker than the fresher tires on the Danilo Sanfilippo car.
Curious to see how much closer Fuller can get, because once you start to get with around half a second behind, then you're really going to start getting that nice slipstream effect. That being said, you're also going to get the dirty air to boot, so he's got to be very careful here in navigating in behind Sanfilippo, trying to take the lead away.
7/10 of a second is the differential. He's closing. The U.S. Grand Prix in Formula I under contention for the top spot. Sanfilippo and Fuller nose to tail by 6/10 of a second now as they wind their way through the carousel and towards the kink at over 180 miles an hour. 295 kph through the kink.
He's going well over 300 now, trying to get that run, and he's definitely got some of the slipstream to work with here down the back straightaway. So he's starting to close in more on Danilo Sanfilippo. Is it going to be enough? He definitely has quite a bit of time to work with, so that's not an issue.
Up onto the front straightaway again. 7/10 of a second. Is it going to be enough to slipstream? Up the hill. Cresting over the front straightaway. Lap number 20 of 33 underway. Briefly going to jump back. Jason Siemens in 11th. Wesley Batista. Emilio Fernandez Garrido. All three of these cars have had troubles at some point today, but Garrido all over Batista. These two have had a bit of a dogfight and a scrap here and there. They're going back at it now for 12th.
Gets a nice run through the kink here. Now it's going to have a full slipstream to work with here. I don't know if it's going to be quite close enough maybe to dive down to the Canada corner, but sit back in behind.
Race lead is down to half a second now as the field weaves their way into turn number 8, and Ben Fuller closes right up but overshoots turn number 8. He'll lose some time there.
Yeah, as we were talking about that dirty air, you got to start managing it now as he gets closer and closer. And within that half a second mark, you see a drag race up the hill across the stripe. That's a battle with Garrido and also Batista here. They're both pretty much equal. We'll see who's going to get braver on the brakes.
Into turn number 1, Batista through and just chops the nose off of Garrido as they head through the first corner. Furlick and Charlie Bass trading spots. That's for 9th spot. Not sure Bass is totally done here. Looked like he heated that position a little bit, but here comes Garrido. Gonna have another run to driver's left down the back straightaway to turn number 5. Nearly 200 miles an hour into the braking zone. Oh, he's wide.
No! And Batista goes wide. Yeah, tried to brake too late and went straight on. Didn't go too far off, but we'll continue on.
Cross the line that time. Sanfilippo was a hair quicker than Ben Fuller, but I'm not sure Fuller's done yet. He closed up within 0.3 of a second of the race leader, then had a mistake, which put him back some.
It should be easy to get back again. It's got some time to work with. That being said, they're also starting to run quickly out of time here as we got just about 20 minutes remaining in the Grand Prix.
Carlos Coutin and Marco Sanfilippo is back out on the racetrack. That is for position for 15th. Marco overshot turn 8. Will have to back up and try again.
There's again set up the run here out of the carousel and gets a great run doing so here back on Coutin.
And in theory, this should be a pretty easy pass. Coutin's been kind of stuck back here in 15th. Marco again was running up in 2nd before his spin and collision to the inside wall at the exit of turn 5. Big lock up there for Coutin. Through turn 14 now, setting up for the front straight. This should be a relatively easy pass with a slipstream. Up the hill, chasing each other down. Here comes Sanfilippo. Look at the speed differential down the front straight. You'll look out to driver's right. It'll have the pass done before turn 1.
Up inside the top 15 from Marco Sanfilippo.
For Danilo, up the front straight, going to hang on to the lead for now. 7/10 of a second. It has not come down a whole lot, about a 100th of a second that lap through.
Starting to reel that back in. Again, the problem is now how is he going to compensate? We saw the effect that Dirty Air had. He lost quite a bit of time doing so. So if he's now able to figure out a way to compensate while not losing time. Ooh, a spin.
Cody Sandwith down in turn number 5. Will lose a couple spots in this process. The leaders are coming up on this group of cars here shortly, so traffic could play into this race. Here's a look. Now the inside curve unsettled the car, looped it around. So Patrick Woodstrup is a lap down. Oh, Sandwith has just gone around again at the exit of 7. And here come your race leaders on through the accident zone, through the yellow flag area. Luca Furlick on pit lane now in the number 06.
Oh, Cody Sandwith is going to go around again out of turn 7. He's going to try to wrestle the car under control. And lost it again. Oh, sorry, that was actually a little bit behind on that. He had another bit of a spin out of turn 7.
Luca Furlick on pit lane, getting up on the jacks to replace the tires and fuel in that car. Sanfilippo and Fuller, with coming to 10 laps to go, are separated by 0.3 of a second.
And this is where the struggle is going to come in now. If he can hang on for this front straightaway, he's going to get another really solid run back on Sanfilippo. We've actually got a great run through this sector here.
Oh, big understeer though. You see the arrow beginning to play a factor in this, and he's unable to get much closer. Down the front straightaway into turn number 1. 0.6 of a second is the differential. And this is so important that you set up the corners just right so that you get a run and that you're able to pass the race leader before the corner. Because if you have to follow in behind, you're going to lose all the time you gain and some. So Ben Fuller's got to be a bit strategic about this. Meanwhile, behind, Leandro Vignardi and Silvio Brazola. This is for 18th.
Yeah, also right ahead of him, car Flemeister up ahead of them.
Yeah, so
whoa! And Vignardi around.
Oh, they touch!
Oh, and he gets hit.
And Vignardi's going to get turned around right in front of the race leaders as they come on through the mix. That stack up took out Vignardi as Ben Fuller is within 0.4 of a second of the top spot.
It's got to wait so long. You heard how long you had to wait to get back under the throttle to avoid running off the track with that dirty air. I got a great run through the kink though.
It's all about closing the differential and having a dive up the inside before you have to follow them through a fast high-speed corner. Through Canada corner now, bumping over the curbs on the inside.
So, and Sanfilippo's got a lap car up ahead of him. That's Silvio Brazola as he goes off the track to get out of the way, it seems, of the leaders.
Well, it might not have been a bad situation considering how tight that section can get. Now Fuller still 0.7 back. No, 0.3 back as they climb the hill.
Yeah.
This will be a great run for Fuller here.
Yeah, Sanfilippo ran off the track in the final corner. That allowed Fuller to get a massive
Here
run.
he comes!
Here he goes as they have a look.
Oh, a big block there by Sanfilippo. Into the grass goes Ben Fuller through turn 1, and Sanfilippo hangs on, he's loose!
No!
And he crashes hard at the exit of turn number 2.
And a massive hit to the tire. That's going to be some suspension damage, I would imagine, to Danilo Sanfilippo. Exactly what happened to his teammate earlier in turn 5.
A big block into the first corner. It all went wrong. Here's a look as they came down the front straight here, Finney, and it was just a big mistake, I think, for Sanfilippo to try to block this maneuver. He just moves over too late, and Ben Fuller goes through the grass that he was offline for turn 1, gets on the rumble strip, and impacts the barrier hard. Not sure about this. I'd have to imagine that this is going to be classified as a block here. Watch Ben Fuller. He's going to move to the right here. See, he's already going defensive, but then Ben Fuller moves, and then he makes a secondary move. That's definitely a block there, Finian. And I think he's already done the damage to himself. I'm not sure he'll get a penalty, but that is certainly penalty worthy there to make that maneuver.
Yeah, it's definitely playing with fire, as you were saying, but yeah, it cost him very much dearly. He's still running in second. He's got, he's only 3.5 seconds behind Ben Fuller, believe it or not. I'm actually kind of surprised he hasn't lost more time, and he's got 12 some odd seconds to Augusto in Ronaldo Augusto in third place. So we'll see if he continues on the track. I don't imagine if he can hold on to a podium spot.
That car's got to be dealing with some fairly significant damage, but he should be able to limp it back the final 10 or 9 laps here as they come over the start-finish line. Ronaldo Augusto, as you mentioned, is 12 seconds back from Sanfilippo. He could get up to second. Emilio Fernandez Garrido's around in turn 5. He's looped it. Jason Siemens has recovered from what was kind of a miserable start to the day. He's back up in 10th where he started and looking to grab some points here this afternoon.
Yeah, definitely the sheets don't really tell the story for Siemens going up and down the order, but finally back up. But as you're saying, where he started, we'll see. I don't think he can quite get back up to Charlie Bass up ahead in the 94 and 9th. He's 19 seconds up the road.
Checking in on Wesley Batista, 23rd to 11th. I don't think this is the highest that he's run today, but certainly a good climb, 12 positions for him. He would probably like to get a top 10 run. He's got Jason Siemens about 1.5 seconds up in front of him. A little bit wide at the exit of Canada corner. Sanfilippo really struggling. A 1:41.2 last time by. That was with the collision, I believe. We'll see if he can improve on that, but he's lost 6 seconds to Ben Fuller.
No, he's losing quite a bit of time the way he's running. I think he's losing about 2 to 3 seconds a lap. It seems just with the damage to that car. And again, he's still actually driving the car straight, but again, that's not handling well at all for him or where he really needs to be.
I don't think you can hear him short shifting. I'm not sure that he's super comfortable with this car. Meanwhile, his teammate also had issues at the exit of turn 5. He has fought his way back to 13th and actually looking for 12th on Emilio Fernandez Garrido down into turn 5. That'll be a pretty easy pass for Sanfilippo, and he goes through. But both those drivers have kind of been their own worst enemy today. And just the smallest mistake. Ben Fuller has been, I don't want to say flawless, but he has been mighty good today.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think he has. I don't think he's made a mistake, and I really hope it didn't just jinx him there. But with a really solid run, he came in for an early pit stop, and for the most part, it seems like that's paid off.
Flavio Clavati going to move over. He's 16th, goes a lap down. He's one of the F1 APS silver cars, the other being Stevenson Oliveira, who's up in, where's Oliveira right now? Up in 8th place. So closing in the last 11 or 12 minutes of this race. A handful of retirements from Leandro Bignardi, Cody Sandwith, Stephen Grabowski, Talis Toledo, Don Day, Thomas Seeger, Pedro Gomez, and Owen Jolivet, all retired in the first round of the season. In 2 weeks' time, we head to Brazil for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and we'll get another lease on life, a new chance to podium.
Especially for Joliet and Ziegler, both qualifying 5th and 7th respectively. We're looking at finishing well inside the top 10 again. The first 2 retirements going to be all the way back to 27th and 26th. Yeah, they're definitely going to be hoping for a new lease on life, and we expect to see them back up at the top of the standings.
We haven't talked a lot about the F1 APS red team yet. That's Ronaldo Augusto in the number 2 and Bruno Canovas in the number 23. These guys have been quietly hanging out in 3rd and 4th today. Augusto on the last step of the podium, Canovas just 1 spot out.
And I was going to say, depending on how Sanfilippo continues on with his damaged car, Augusto, I think, might have enough time to catch back up to Nilo and make that a 2nd place finish.
And Bruno's not that much farther behind, so if they can both get podiums out of this, one man's bad day could turn into 2 man's good day. A lot of F1 APS team cars out there. They're sort of one big organization split up into a bunch of different teams. There's black, red, silver, blue, gold. And Eisenlohr, Batista, Canovas, Augusto, Oliveira, Clavati, Brazola, Soares, as well as Junior and Mata, all F1 APS drivers just separated into their different colorations. Andre Eisenlohr up in 5th. Haven't spoken a whole lot about him. He missed Q3 by a little bit, but here he is up to 5th, +7 for him in the first race of the season.
Yeah, really, again, one of those guys really just kept his head down and did a really good job just moving up to the other. Same thing with Corey Whiting. Similar situation, missed Q2, started 16th, is up into 7th place.
Corey Whiting teammates with Carlos Couto in the White Coat F1 team. And you mentioned starting up in 16th up to 7th. But I'm really looking at the next pinch point being Andre Eisenlohr. He's lost a couple tenths of a second to Rafael Mata in the 96 car.
Yeah, and the big thing is, again, once you have a driver in behind you get into the draft, into the slipstream, it is really hard to shake them off again. And Mata just on the cusp of breaking into the slipstream.
Auto, the F1 APS Gold team car with Antonor Jr., who's not here this afternoon. But closing on Andre Eisenlohr up the hill through turn 13. Less than 5 laps to go for Ben Fuller, Danilo Sanfilippo, and Ronaldo Augusto, your current podium sitters if the race were to finish as it is right now.
Oh yeah, and I think Augusto's definitely going to catch up to Danilo Sanfilippo. He's catching him at 2 seconds a lap. He's only 4.5 seconds back right now.
Matta chasing Eisenlohr through turn number 1. That is going to be a pinch point as well, but you mentioned Sanfilippo and Ronaldo Augusto. And there is the second place car. And there is the third place car. 4 seconds, as you mentioned, and he's going to get there pretty easily, actually, if they continue to run at this pace.
Here's how much Danilo is going to try to defend that spot. He might have a shot at defending it, but it's going to be really difficult to keep those guys in behind. Again, you're giving up a second place spot. It's a lot of points that come with it, and he's going to, I imagine, try to fight tooth and nail, but again, not sure that car can quite keep up with his demands.
Eisenlohr feeling the pressure from Rafael Matta now as they head down into turn number 8. Battle for 5th spot. Again, unlike a lot of oval series or even road series, it's not really the top 5 that you're looking for. You're looking for a podium. So it's a little bit trickier to feel like you've really had a good day in a Formula Series where they're only really granting the top 3 any sort of trophy.
Yeah, pretty much so. And speaking of the top 5, though, Matta trying to he's going to get a really good run on Eisenlohr. He's definitely well within the draft now. He's got to just watch that aero wash. It's a great run out of Canada corner.
Eisenlohr really feeling the pressure. 3.5 seconds now between Sanfilippo and Augusto for second. And there is the difference between 5th and 6th.
Matta going to have a massive slipstream here. I think he's going to get him on the straightaway.
Here he comes. That'll be a pretty sizable run into the first corner. Side by side for a moment. Eisenlohr runs a little bit wide. Matta's going to have to try again.
Yeah, looking for him into the straightaway. Is coming up right here. Just has to get a good enough exit out of it. Not that particularly good compared to Eisenlohr.
He's still going to have a pretty sizable run here. I'm not sure that he's going to chuck it all the way down into turn 5, but he's going to give it a lunge here. Trying to close the gap to Eisenlohr. Eisenlohr misses the apex by a foot or 2. Whoa, big slide for Matta.
Yeah, I think for Eisenlohr now it's a solo matter of just driving defensively. You don't want to look in the mirror too much, but you want to keep him just to run a awkward line, trying to keep Matta in behind him. Ooh, Flemister is just hit the wall coming out of Canada corner.
That's a big hit there. So Flemister out of Illinois. Just powered up a little too quick, and oh, that's a big hit there at the exit of Canada. We'll get back rolling. Eisenlohr Matta, 200 miles an hour into the braking zone for Canada corner. 1.8 seconds between second and third. 3 laps to go next time by the stripe.
You expect to see the pass sometime soon, especially this past year that we're looking at for 5th place. I'm actually kind of surprised that Matta is still in behind.
Climbing the hill now. Speeds well over 300 kph down the front straightaway. You see Eisenlohr going defensive, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Matta's going to stay in behind for now.
It's going to be enough at least for turn 1, but then again, it's just a matter. He didn't get quite a good run here out of turn 3 last time by for Matta. So he does a little bit better. Indeed, he does, but only by a little bit.
Yeah, this should be enough, though, as they head through the trees towards turn 5. This should be a plenty big enough run to at least get alongside before turn number 5. But he steps out of the slipstream a little bit, like he didn't want to force the issue here.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a little bit patient here. He's got some time to work with. There's really no chance of catching up to the guys up ahead. So I think he's just going to try to focus on this. Maybe hope that Eisenlohr makes a mistake.
Augusto within 1.7 seconds of Danilo Sanfilippo. 1.6 seconds now. We'll take you there in a moment once this battle fizzles here.
Working through the carousel. Not actually, this is probably the first we've seen him back from Eisenlohr in a while.
Not a great run through the carousel for him, trying to build up a run maybe for the front straightaway. Three laps to go for the race leader, Ben Fuller. Now Now we'll jump up to second place. Danilo Sanfilippo, who led in this race 15 laps, over half the race so far. And he might not even podium if it keeps running as it is, because right behind Ronaldo Augusto is Bruno Canova, who's only 2.5 seconds back. And if Augusto and Sanfilippo fight a little bit, Canova will be right there as well to take away a podium spot from Sanfilippo, and that entire team might not even podium this race.
Yeah, which will be a very, very big surprise considering what we saw out of qualifying. Those two drivers from that team, Fratelli, Capone, Corsa, ran really well, obviously taking 2 of the top 3 spots, but just not they had the race pace, but not the consistency after making 2 very big mistakes.
So Sanfilippo, 0.7 of a second now. It's just going to be a futile fight to try to hang on to this. We'll see how defensive he gets on Ronaldo Augusto. And Canovas, not too far behind, 2.3 back.
Augusto with a great run up to Canada corner. Not going to be able to do it this time, but on the front straightaway, I think Sanfilippo's going to be a sitting duck.
Corey Whiting has had a big issue in the number 7 car. He's going to be out of the race. This was through turn number 5. Throttles up and he's going to slam the concrete. That's a big hit there for driver from White Coat F1. It's not been a good day for them. Carlos Coutin up in 14th only, so not a great day for them. As we go back to second, here comes Ronaldo Augusto with a big one for second. Up the inside, Ronaldo Augusto is going to grab second spot away in the F1 ABS red team. He's through.
Yeah, curious here now, Danilo, if he can actually try to toe off of Augusto here, I'm actually curious to see. We've seen him losing quite a bit of speed, but no, there's no cornering speed at all. It goes way wide, almost into the grass.
Now teammate to Augusto, Bruno Canova in the F1 APS red team car. He's 1.9 back from Sanfilippo. He's got 2 laps. He's also been lapping at least a second quicker than Sanfilippo. I do not think a podium is safe on this car.
No, definitely not. And also, Bruno can afford to push a little bit. If he makes a mistake, he's got 25 seconds back to Eisenlohr behind.
Really jumping back. Here's Wesley Batista and Luca Furlick. This is for 11th.
Batista got really sideways there through that corner, pushing really hard to keep Furlick in behind. But Furlick forcing the issue here is going to get a great run down the front straightaway.
And this should be a fairly easy pass with this big slipstream. And this has been the topic of the days. Drivers being able to take advantage of this. Up to the inside, the track's gonna close off. He swings left and goes around the outside. Luca Furlick up to 11th place. What a pass!
Wow, that was probably one of the best passes into turn 1 I've ever seen.
That was amazing.
Wow.
Here's another look at that. How about this? Unbelievable pass for 11th spot.
And that just really shows you the agility of an F1 car, the way he was able to move.
Well, Batista's not done yet. He's going to try to go around the outside. Can't do it. Locks up. So Furlick hangs on for now. Meanwhile, back to 3rd place. White flag in the air for Ben Fuller, the race leader. He's already down in turn number 5. 24 seconds back is Ronaldo Augusto. Then Sanfilippo's got Bruno Canova. 7/10 behind him for a podium spot. Can F1 APS Red get 2nd and 3rd steps on the podium today?
Definitely there. I'm just curious how much Sanfilippo is going to try to defend. It's the last lap of the race. If he can hold on, he can get that 3rd and final podium spot. But Bruno, faster, undamaged car, waiting in the wings to try to take that away.
Here he comes into turn number 5, late on the brakes. Sanfilippo, nice apex for turn number 5. Tracks out a little wide. So does Canovas up the hill to turn 6. Canovas trying to get on podium with his teammate in the first round of the season in the U.S. Grand Prix at Elkhart Lakes Road America. Big slide at the exit of turn number 6. Now through 7 to try to close on Sanfilippo, the driver that led over half the race earlier today.
Into turn 8 as well. Ooh, Canovas goes a little bit wide.
Time is running out. I think he needs to get this done by Canada corner.
And meanwhile, up in front, out of the final corner, Ben Fuller is going to round the turn and face down the front straightaway.
Early pit strategy put him behind, but he was able to hang on. The United States Formula 1 Grand Prix goes to Ben Fuller out of Indiana. Home race for Ben Fuller. He takes it home and wins the U.S. Grand Prix. Celebration and elation as he comes across the start-finish line. Meanwhile, for 3rd, Sanfilippo's off. Here comes Canovas up the inside for podium spot. He's not there yet. Now they run up to turn number 14. Sanfilippo goes defensive into the final corner. Can Canovas lunge up the inside? No. Now they run onto the front straight. Drag race up to the checkered flag. Sanfilippo led half this race. Can he defend and hang on to a podium? Here they come to the stripe. Sanfilippo and Canovas to the line. Sanfilippo hangs on for a podium in the U.S. Grand Prix by by a couple tenths of a second. 1.5 tenths. Eisenlohr and Mata, now they're going to come up the hill for 5th. Eisenlohr and Mata nose to tail.
Ooh, Mata going to get into the curve. Ricardo going to fly in the air for a second here. He's going to get an awkward entry into the final corner. Mata try to set up the run.
Eisenlohr, 5th place. Mata 6th. Drag race to the checkers. Eisenlohr's going to hang on by less than 1/10 of a second at the line. Eisenlohr 5th, Mata 6th. As the rest of the field comes across the stripe behind them in much less dramatic fashion, between 5th and 6th, how about 74 thousandths of a second? What a race. What a Grand Prix. Wesley Batista, the 28 car, going to come home a lonely 12th.
Ooh, and go flying off in the grass as well.
Yep, finish out this race. Silvio Brazola, I think he's going to come across the line, a lap down in 17th. Patrick Woodstrup has already come on through. The last driver on the racetrack will be Emilio Fernandez Garrido, who started up in 14th, will finish in 13th.
Looks like the F1 APS guys, I think they're trying to line up in formation here. Alright, I thought they were. It looks like they decided to bail on that, but what a phenomenal race there, especially for those final podium spots.
How about that? U.S. Grand Prix here at Elkhart Lake's Road America. Ben Fuller, Ronaldo Augusto, Danilo Sanfilippo, 3 different teams from 3 different countries. The United States, Brazil, and Italy all represented in the top 3 spots. Bruno Canovas, F1 APS red team car, comes home in 4th. Andre Eisenlohr brings his team home in 5th. He is an F1 APS black team car. Then Rafael Mata, F1 APS gold in 6th. Stevenson Oliveira, F1 APS silver in 7th. Charlie Bass in 8th. Bass, of course, running the TNT racing car. He brings it home in 8th place. Marco Sanfilippo in 9th. Good recovery after an early spin out of 2nd place. Jason Siemens from the Siemens Privateer Group in 10th. Out of Illinois, home race for him as well. Back to 11th, Luca Furlick. Solid run for him. He'll bring it home for Team Furlick in 11th spot. Wesley Batista, we already mentioned, comes home in 12th. Emilio Fernandez Garrido in 13th. Carlos Coutin in 14th. Flavio Clavati in 15th. Patrick Woodstrup, the other Siemens car, in 16th. Silvio Brazola down in 17th spot. Carl Flemister in 18th. Corey Whiting, 19th. Leandro Bignardi in 20th. Out of Brazil, home race for Bignardi in 2 weeks' time. He'll look to run a little bit better there and have a bit better luck. Now to the bottom of the order, Cody Sandwith, out of the Team Furlick stable. He'll come home 21st. Stephen Grabowski in 22nd. Don Day out of Ohio in 23rd. Talis Toledo, 24th. Pedro Gomez, 25th. Thomas Ziegler, 26th. And Owen Jolivet. A disappointing day for the Frenchman. He'll have to have a bit better luck when he heads to Brazil in 2 weeks' time. How about that?
Yeah, it was a phenomenal race to watch there at the end. Some great battles going on throughout the entire race, especially with the leader. Unfortunately, we couldn't see a little bit more of the battling between Fuller and Danilo Sanfilippo, but those guys put on a really good show. And even Danilo, great job for him to defend that final podium spot. Didn't think he would be able to do it.
All right, we're going to jump over to the broadcast booth here, and we'll talk to your race winner. Ben Fuller's already waiting for us, so let's do that now. And we'll talk to Ben Fuller and have him jump in here for a little bit. Seems like the U.S. Grand Prix winner is waiting for us, except we can't drag him in, so we might have to wait to have him join us here. In the meantime, all right, Ben Fuller out of Indiana, kind of a home race for the United States GP here from Elkhart Lake's Road America. Ben, a phenomenal race, but it wasn't without a little bit of drama. It was Danilo Sanfilippo that had leapfrogged you on the overcut on the pit stop, but you were able to charge on through after a couple mistakes there. And that big block into turn 1 by Sanfilippo kind of backfired. Walk us through the chase of Danilo down into turn 1 and then being able to run away and grab the first round victory in the Formula 1 championship.
Yeah, it was an okay race. The start went exactly how I wanted it to. I know that Danilo and Marco are pretty slow off the line. Normally pretty slow on the first few laps there, so I was happy about the gap that I was building a little bit slower than I wanted to, but I was getting a decent gap, and then I don't remember who the back marker was, but yeah, he just kind of lifted on the exit of the kink, and I absolutely did not expect it, especially to be like so early after the kink. So I got a little bit of wing damage and came in. And honestly, I thought my race was pretty much over. I mean, after the stop, I was lapping 6 to 8 tenths slower per lap. But yeah, I just kept my head in it. I'm not sure what happened to the top guys' pace. I mean, I was surprised that I was only 1.5 seconds after their stops. Or even Marco, I think, made a mistake in turn 5. So it was just Danilo there to fight. We had a decent fight. I would have liked it to go a little bit longer, but yeah, I mean, he tried to cover the inside there on the turn 1 move, but he left a little bit of space. So I went down the inside, kind of backed out of it a little bit, but I think he ran it out a little bit wide and spun it off to the right there. So that was pretty much it for the race. But yeah, I mean, it was okay.
Well, it certainly was okay. You took home a race victory. We head to the Brazilian Grand Prix in 2 weeks at Interlagos. That track is a lot different in makeup and formation than Road America. Road America, a lot of straightaway, maybe a low downforce setup, but you attack Interlagos a very different way. Do you feel comfortable there knowing that almost half the field is heading to their home Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, a lot of Senna fans, I'm sure, which definitely joined them. But yeah, I mean, Interlagos is a great track. Should be some good racing. I think the field was pretty close today. Up there at the front, it was a little bit iffy, but I mean, if Danilo didn't have the damage, I think it would have been a lot closer, especially with Marco. And I think there's some other guys that they're definitely going to find some pace next week, so for sure.
And congratulations on the victory here in the USGP. We'll see you in Brazil in 2 weeks' time in your number 55 car. Thanks so much for talking. We'll see you later.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, with that, I don't see anybody else waiting for us here, Finian, so I think that's going to be it for now as we head off to the Brazilian GP in 2 weeks. Very, very excited because that is an excellent racetrack for Formula One cars. I think it plays into the strengths of the F1 cars a bit more than Road America does, but I'm so excited after watching a phenomenal race today.
Yeah, these guys put on a really good show, and I think this is just a sign of the season to come. Again, going to some great tracks. We're talking about Interlagos, also some really interesting ones. I mean, we head to Bathurst towards the tail end of the season. That's an odd choice for an F1 schedule, and again, just cannot wait to head down there, as well as Long Beach as well. So we got also some street courses in the mix as well.
Yeah, and taking a look at the schedule here in just a moment, I want to. You mentioned some of the outliers here. I did want to take a walk through some of the more interesting ones that you didn't mention. So you mentioned that we go to Long Beach, which is true. We also head to Detroit, Belle Isle. We head to Zandvoort, which will be interesting. And then some ones you'd expect to see in the schedule: Imola, Spa, Coda, Silverstone, Montreal. You know, all the usual tracks, but. I think, as you mentioned, Long Beach and Bathurst kind of being the outliers there are going to be really interesting to see how those play out in the series later this season. 2 weeks' time, it'll be July 25th when we head to Interlagos for our second round of the season, and then it'll be August 8th at Suzuka for our third round, Monza for round number 4, and Circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya for round number 5. Thanks so much for watching this afternoon. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian DeCuna from SYM TV. Make sure you subscribe if you have not yet. We do actually have Ronaldo Augusto joining us here, Finian, so if you want to see if we can get him in the booth, we'd like to chat with our second place finisher here before we head off for the afternoon. Hey, Ronaldo Augusto, it's Kyle Heyer from SYM TV. A second place run for you in your Team F1 APS red car. Up to second in the closing laps, getting by Danilo Sanfilippo. Walk us through that epic battle, getting by the 27 to grab yourself a podium.
Hi guys, that was a very difficult race. At the beginning I had to defend myself to Bruno, my teammate. He is very fast with
Road America, obviously a lot of straightaways here, but as we head to Brazil in 2 weeks' time, a racetrack that's seemingly more built for Formula One machines, a lot faster corners, a lot less straightaway. Do you think that that's a race that you can go out there and win? And who do you need to beat at Brazil to be the best?
It's very difficult to compete with Sanfilippo's brother and Ben. They are very fast guys. I think the fourth place, it's the best I could be in Brazil too. But we had a very big team. F1 APS is a very big team, and there are great guys to do a very good setup. So maybe a podium in Brazil, it will be very good.
All right, thank you so much for talking to us. We will see you in Brazil in 2 weeks. Thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you, guys. I want to say thank you to my team principal, Flavio Clivat, and the other guys. I don't know. I don't want to forget about names, so all FOPS teams. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jason, about the championship. It's a very good championship. And I'll see you in Brazil.
All right, thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon. All right, Phineas, that's going to wrap things up here this evening for the Formula One Grand Prix of the United States from Elkhart Lake, Road America. Your final thoughts before we sign off and head off to Brazil in 2 weeks.
I cannot wait to go to August in 2 weeks again. These guys put on a great show, especially loving the knockout qualifying format. Obviously, we didn't get to cover all the qualifying. We just covered Q2 and Q3, but these guys, again, make qualifying really interesting, which is something I didn't really think was possible, at least in iRacing.
We'll update you on the point situation and more when we head to Brazil. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube to make sure that you catch everything. Next stream will be tonight at 10 p.m. Outside of Racing League Chase action. They begin their Chase Championship tonight at 10 Eastern. Thanks so much. We'll see you later.